Oh, wow. How did you end up?
In Atlanta?
No, you're from St. Louis, but you went to school in Texas.
Yeah.
How?
Most people leave the state they live in to go to school.
I didn't.
I know. So I said it the way I said it. Yeah.
Oh.
Most people want to leave home. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
For sure. Everybody you met at Georgia State from Georgia? You ain't meet nobody from nowhere else? Like no DC, no.
Nah, okay, so here's my college experience. So before Georgia State, I went to, I don't know if y'all probably haven't heard of it, but it's GGC, Georgia Gwinnett College. So that was like high school part 2. I did that for a year and a half. Like I'm talking about everybody that I grew up with, they went there. And then that's when I was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Hell no. So then that's when I went to Georgia State. And then I saw a few people from high school there. But it was mainly folks from, I didn't grow up in the city of Atlanta. So it'll be people from like Clayton, people from Fulton. Like that's the majority of
Just
the folks.
like surrounding areas.
Yeah, that I was like, interacting with. But I never had no roommate from like Kentucky or something.
Damn.
Like everything's always been like Georgia bound.
But that's why I went to the school I went to, because it was so far from home. I don't know anybody here. It's a fresh start.
So then why didn't you stay in Texas? Why'd you come down here?
My girl wanted to leave. I was cool with staying in Dallas, for the rest of my life.
Yeah. No, yeah, I ain't gonna cap. Like, if I wasn't doing nothing over here, I would most definitely move to Texas for sure. Cool. Well, hi. Hey guys. Okay, so another solo episode, but I got 2, reoccurring guests. So let's keep on bullying them so they can appear on camera. All right, y'all. So this topic, it was on my spirit just because, we're kind of almost at the midpoint. Well, the midpoint will be in June, but I mean, we're on month 5. This is May. So we'll just say we're at the midpoint. And I was just thinking, most people do end of the year reviews, everything that they've learned throughout the year. But I think we should start doing, what have we learned so far halfway through the year? So today's episode is, things I've learned at the midpoint. So, it was Mercury retrograde. For the past 2 weeks. It just ended on the 16th, I believe. And for y'all that don't know, if you're not into astrology, so Mercury retrograde, that's when the planets basically go into rotation and they spin backwards, and it affects all of us. So it kind of forces us to be in tune with ourselves, and it forces us to, face our fears and just really, it's like a big reflection time. So a lot of people, they kind of go through it because you're forced to just face their emotions. So that just really just had me thinking okay, what have I learned so far at the midpoint? So, okay, here go the first thing. I think the biggest thing, God damn, Trey. I think the biggest thing that I've learned so far, to just stop being in control. Naturally, I just like being in controlled environments. I like to dictate what's going on. I'm not really a go with the flow type person. Whenever I'm doing something, right? First of all, at my house, I have 9 journals. I have to write out every single thing that I'm going to do. And then in my brain, I have this map. And it's just, everything just has to be in order. So when things are not in order, and when I'm just feeling when I'm just not in control, I can't function. But I really am learning that, there's some things in life that you just can't control. You have to go with the flow. Think of life as like a river, things really do have to flow. So yeah, don't be afraid to just relax. And I think another thing too, because Tabitha Brown has said it, to where, you want to be in control so much that's making you lose control within. You can't function because you just always want to, you just always want to be in charge, but you gotta relax. You feel what I'm saying? What about y'all? What are some stuff so far in the midpoint where you're see, I like when I try to be serious.
I felt them looking at me. Yo.
I always try to be serious, and they always do this.
What I've learned from the way things are going right now in the world is to sit still and observe. That's what I learned. Sit still and observe. It's a lot of It's a lot of people giving advice. It's a lot of people providing information. It's a lot of people providing their opinions. It's a lot of people placing judgment, and they have the platforms to do so. And we have the devices that allow us to have access to all these opinions and information and advice. So I feel like we're in a world where we can kind of sit still and observe. There's nothing wrong with sitting still and observing and just kind of like, letting the people that really feel impaired to, if that's the right way to say it, to give their opinions and their advice and judgment on things. Just kind of just sit back and observe. Like, we don't have to partake in the conversations that everybody's, having just because it's trending. You know what I'm saying? That's what I've learned.
Being still and being present and being mindful of the information that you're consuming. See, I do agree with that because I was thinking the other day, like, man, remember when Drake was like, I'm way too many people here right now that I didn't know last year. Who the fuck are y'all? Like, it's too many people speaking. And like, it's just, you have to be mindful with the opinions that you hear because it's too much. And most importantly, like, where do all these people come from? Which I saw on TikTok somebody say, like, being like a celebrity is kind of like a lost cause now because anybody can be it. Like, literally anybody. Like you know how some people, how we like grew up watching like Rihanna or like who else? I don't know, like, some people, like, they just have that it look. Like, when you see them, you just different. Like I don't know what it is, but you just not like the rest of us. But now, like, that don't apply no more because like like anybody can be something. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. What about you?
What about me? What?
What have you learned so far in the midpoint?
I've learned that everybody should be more intentional about what it is they're doing in every sense. So, and this came from actually like a driving video. This guy explaining like, just the flow of traffic and how he drives and like how people, cover the brake, so on and so forth. And how he as a driver, he's a professional driver. He's not just no regular nigga, nothing like that. So when, imagine an oval, imagine a racetrack like that. When he's driving, when he's on straightaways, he's accelerating, all accelerating. When he's coming on the curve, he's braking. He's braking till he gets out of that curve, and then he's accelerating again. And what I basically took from that is to do everything like with a purpose. So, for instance, how do I put this? I've never had to explain. I've never had to put this into words.
I feel like I get what you're saying though.
Damn, how would I put this into words? Trey, help me out.
So basically, he's saying that what he's learned so far is that everything that you do in life, it has to be purposeful. Like, you have to be intentional in whatever you're doing.
Yeah, I got that part.
And I think what you're trying to say is that time is very valuable. So because we know that time is valuable, life moves fast, whether we like it or not. Time is something that we can't control. So since we know that fact, it's really imperative that whatever that you decide to put your mind on, whatever you decide to put your energy on, let it be intentional because you don't have time to waste.
Perfectly said. That's exactly what I meant. Oh, and then I'll just add, okay, so I have ADHD, so I'm all over the place.
I'm with you.
At all times.
And mine's
so
bad.
A lot of times I have to like take a step back.
Mine's
and
bad.
be like, okay, let me go do this over here, and then do this, and then do that. Because if I don't say that to myself, I'm gonna just be running around trying to do everything I have to do at the same exact time, and then end up not getting anything done.
That's me every morning.
Yeah, so that's where that came from. Like, that's why I have to be intentional about what it is I'm doing, because if I'm not, I'm just gonna be running around doing a million things, not really accomplishing anything.
Straight up.
There we go. Got to it.
Wow, I like that. No, yeah, I totally agree with you. I think another thing too, which goes back to my main point of like learning not to be in control all the time. I make things a lot bigger in my head than what it needs to be. And I really I really learned that so much of these things that I feared in my head, when certain situations ended up coming to pass, it was completely different than the fear that I put in my head. And that's what made me realize, like, yo, you really have to calm down. Like, you really have to practice mindfulness, and you really need to just relax, you know? Like, I feel like that's not even a way to live, of just constantly, not saying like I think negative, I'm not saying that, but it's just I just make things a lot bigger than what it needs to be. And life, like, really, life is, which I will give you guys your flowers, because, on our side conversations, y'all helped me realize that, like, life does not need to be that complicated. So I do have to thank y'all for that. I mean, sometimes I feel like I low key get in my own way, and I'm working on that, to just be present. I think it's a real liberating feeling to just be present, just to be here. So yeah, I'm definitely working on that. Next.
Next one, I already answered your question.
That's all what you learn. You only learn one thing this whole year.
What else
One
did you
thing.
learn from this year?
Oh, I have a lot of stuff actually. Oh,
We'll piggyback off you.
I learned
Go
one
ahead.
thing.
lead
it's
the
been
way.
5 months. Like, I've learned so much.
I haven't written down everything I've learned.
Yeah, me
though.
either.
Oh, I do, because I don't want to forget, just in case if I get out of alignment.
I mean, you said you got like 10 journals. So
Yeah, I
it'd
really
be
do.
that.
I write so much. I
I'm a
literally have
writer
to.
too, but like what I do is I'll have a journal and I'll write, and once it's full, I'll take from what I need. I'll take what I need from the page and I'll crumple it up and throw it away.
Why would you do that? But what if you forget about what you learned?
Then I said like I'll take what's important from the page and put it somewhere else. But everything
But
else,
don't you think all your thoughts are important though?
no.
But why?
Or I ain't gonna say they're not important, but every thought is not as important as they're not equal. They're not equal at all.
That's interesting. Which I guess goes back to what I've learned, that don't make things bigger than what it needs to be.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Oh
Thanks.
boy. Oh boy.
I've learned balance. I have learned more balance. I feel like every year I learn how to be more balanced with like life, like balancing time with loved ones, balancing time with yourself, balancing time with work, balancing time with mental health, balancing time. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just. I feel like that's a monthly, yearly practice that everybody should pay more attention to try to work on, because it's like it's a lot going on, and you try to. And the older you get, and the more responsibilities you have, the harder it is to find balance, because you want to stay in shape, you want to look this way, you want to make sure your body is functioning a certain way, you want to make sure you're putting enough hours in for your career or your job. You want to make sure you're putting some time in to learn, whether it's a new language or whether it's a new skill set. Like you want to make sure you have enough time to pull up on your parents, pull up on your sisters or your family members. You want to make sure you have enough time to spend time with your significant other and you're not ignoring them. You know what I mean? So like that's a lot within 24 hours. So I think figuring out ways to just balance where you feel comfortable with, like, I feel like I got enough done today. Let me go walk around the park
Yeah.
and clear my mind. I feel like, I can take a break and go eat dinner with my significant other and go plan something. I feel like I can, go pull up my parents and say what's up to them just to make sure they're good. Shit like that.
And I think that's kind of similar to what Jay had mentioned about being very intentional. So just making sure that whatever it is that is really severely stressing you out, or really just whatever is not important, like you really have to cut it. Like you have to cut it, because we think we have time, but we don't have time. So make sure you incorporate balance in your life. It's really imperative. Okay, the next thing I learned, okay, it's always been in the back of my head, but I never took it serious. But law of attraction and manifesting, like I'm seriously really, really learning it, and I'm starting to get it for real. Like, do y'all follow that? For
Seven
real?
Spiritual Laws of Success is my favorite book.
I'm gonna write that down.
You should read it.
Yeah.
It's a very short.
What is it?
7 Spiritual Laws of Success. It's a very short book. I don't read a lot, but that's like my favorite book that I've read. That I was able to run through because it was so short and it was so relatable and it was so interesting. It's by Deepak Chopra. I think how you pronounce his name, Deepak Chopra. But yeah, 7 Spiritual Laws of Success is a dope book. It has nothing to do with money. It all has to do with spiritual success, which is I feel like everybody needs in their life. But yeah, it's dope. I feel like you should definitely listen to it, or if you like read it. But you know, I'm more of an audiobook person. But yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm learning about energies, and I'm learning about, what's crazy though, which I really like finally realized, what you want in life, it actually is already yours. But just because it's yours, that doesn't mean that you're exempt from like trials and tribulations. But the greater the reward, I feel like the more trials you're going to go through. But because it's your goal and because it's something that you like genuinely want to do, I feel like the trials is what helps us become prepared for it more. You get what I'm saying? And when you understand energy, you know that everything has to change about you. Like whenever you're about to go to the next level, you have to become in alignment with what you're trying to get. So the mindset that you had 3-4 years ago, that's not going to cut it when you want to make it to the next level. So if you know that you want to be a millionaire, you know that you want to see like big success, first of all, you have to see it in your head first. And then once you see it, you have to like execute it. So like how do you go about executing like your dreams and your goals? I would say you have to study first. Study what other people do. Not saying like be your own person, like, do you. But folks that do that, look at how they carry themselves. Look at, study how they think, study their actions, and then try to implement that into your life while still also being yourself. Does that make sense? Yeah. So like I said, when you're trying to adopt a new energy, who created that? The law of energy that cannot be created nor destroyed, only transferred. It was somebody.
Newton.
Isaac Newton.
Newton.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
So energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred.
Yeah.
So if you're constantly putting yourself in like a low vibrational state and you are just like your energy is just messed up, then it's going to be harder for you to get what you actually want. So with like law of attraction and manifesting, and then Oprah had interviewed this guy, which I probably should have wrote his name down, but I forgot. But anyway, right? He was saying that what people kind of, get misconstrued with the law of attraction is that they just think that, okay, they believe it and then it's going to like trickle down. I mean, sometimes it kind of happens, but he said that it's also important that you connect with the source. Now, I'm not telling you what to believe in. Me personally, I believe in Jesus Christ. But, whatever you believe in, whether that's the universe or whatever, we have to get connected to a source. And that's what basically amplifies our our manifesting tools, if that makes sense. And then the third action is putting in work. So first you have to believe it. Second, connect yourself to the source. And then third, right, you have to put in the work. Like, what the Bible says, faith without works is dead. So you really have to push yourself. You really have to fight for what you want. So that's what I'm like fully adopting. Let me tell you something. You know how they say when you turn 25, that's when your frontal lobe is done developing? When I turn 25, I'm about to be unstoppable for real. Cause
you're planning for your frontal lobe to be finished?
No, but I don't have to plan for it because it's already going to happen.
You can't plan for it. Frontal lobe.
When you turn 25, the frontal lobe,
the front of your brain,
is done developing. So that's when you more mature, more common sense.
And that's
it makes
probably
sense.
real.
It makes sense.
Yeah, and
I did a full transformation when I was 25.
Mm-hmm.
No lie.
You started to look at things completely different.
Like went cold turkey on a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm letting you know now, when I turn 25, I feel like I'm about to be so unstoppable. Because already at 23, like things are already clicking for real. Like, it's crazy. So one of the things, when you get older, you begin to understand your parents more. And I think really what I've really learned is your parents really did the best that they could for real. And when you start to look at your parents from a like when you like
If they're good parents, they did the best that
Yeah.
they could.
yeah, okay, let me clarify if they're good
Everybody,
parents.
yeah, they're doing the best that they can do.
My fault, if they're
Yeah.
good parents. But when you start to like remove the parental role and just look at them as people, your mindset shifts on them for real. And you understand why they did certain like let me tell you something. Growing up, man, I used to get into it a lot with my dad. I used to they always say like a relationship between the mom and the teenage girl is kind of like a lie because you're going through all these changes. And I used to just be so frustrated with them. And honestly, last year I had a conversation with my mom. Like I just told her everything. I told her a lot of stuff. I told her how I felt in the past. I told her like how I felt now. And I feel like I really encourage everyone to have those heart to heart, with your parents, because it really is life changing. When you start to look at your parents as people and you remove that like parental like role, parental title, my bad, not role, parental title from them, and you just look at them as people, I feel like that's the first step of really changing y'all's relationship because you begin to understand that they are people at the end of the day. Now if you grew up in like a real messed up environment, like your parents was like a deadbeat and they just was crazy, yeah, my heart goes out to you. No, but seriously though, because no, okay, this is a real thing though. I've generally learned my relationship with my parents have gotten better really because I took away viewing them from that like parental title role, and I just started to see them as people. And like I would get so pissed off in my younger days when I couldn't, spend the night at a certain person's house, or I couldn't, go on spring break
Troy.
with my friends. And you just start to just understand your parents for like who they are.
If you were in your parents' shoes, how would you have raised yourself?
I would have been more emotionally available, but because I be thinking about that sometimes too. I can't. It's not that I feel bad for complaining, but it's just if we're just keeping it real, I feel like I had a really blessed childhood. Like I was able to do stuff that other kids weren't able to do. That's just because they worked a lot. Both of my parents, they worked their asses off. So, I was going out the country. I had a passport since like the age of 7. You feel what I'm saying? But that's only because they were able to work so much.
Right.
But they worked so much and they was making money, but emotionally, like I'm going through stuff and I had to rely on like God and myself. And it's not that they didn't want to be there. It's just, they had stuff to do.
Yeah.
But as a result, I never went to bed hungry. I never was in a messed up living situation.
Yeah.
Like I was able to do certain stuff that other kids weren't able to do. But I just would have been there more emotionally.
That's that balance, man. It's
Yeah.
just hard. But I feel like everybody. I
hard.
feel a lot of parents in our generation, weren't, or a lot of them were not there for their kids emotionally because they were working so much. My parents were both the same way. They both were always working. I didn't really, you know what I'm saying? But at least whenever if God allows you to have kids, you'll know certain things of how like you miss certain things in your childhood, and you now know that when you have that situation, how you would be there for your kids in both aspects. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, what else have I learned? Set the tone. Don't let no one set the tone for you. Speak. Nothing wrong with speaking. Not saying like I'm like a scary ass bitch that I can't like speak up for myself, but it's just like what I'm a real chill person. Like I'm pretty sure you guys have picked up, my energy. I'm a real chill person, and it's halfway go with the flow. Like if it's too crazy, I'm gonna speak up. But for the most part, I'm like a low key like go with the flow type person. But I've learned that when you really want something, you gotta speak. you gotta, say how you feeling. So yeah. Um and well, actually, okay, I think this is the last thing. This fuck, I'm rambling. But okay, so I barely post on like my main page, and I truly believe in my heart of hearts, like I'm being so for this one, I can publicly say that these next 3 months I feel like are going to be very monumental for me, and I feel like a lot of amazing things are going to happen, and I want to start documenting those things. So I'm trying to, like post more, I'm gonna be a content creator for 3 months. That's it, just for like 3 months. Cause I really believe that me documenting what I'm going through is gonna inspire others for real. Cause yeah, these next 3 months is gonna some great things are about to happen, monumental things. So yeah, for sure. I'm really excited for the year. And okay, I'm gonna close it out with this. Let me tell you something.
It might.
I don't know what. Okay, I'm trying to think of when this transition first happened, but I feel like my relationship with God has gotten a lot closer. Like I'm actually starting to read the Bible for real, and like I'm praying more. Like I know why, but I'll tell you off camera though. I can't say it on camera, but you know, my relationship with God has increased, and I think by getting closer to Him, it's providing more, of course, more peace, but just more understanding about how energy works, more understanding about, why it's important to be in alignment with whatever it is that you're trying to do. And yeah, I just know that, life can get kind of crazy, but it's just good to know that you are connected to the source and that source helps you out. Oh, that's a good closing, ain't it?
Yeah.
It
Sound
is.
good.
Okay, so yeah, let me know what you guys have learned so far in the midpoint of 2023, and yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Okay, bye.